Greetings, love warriors. Greetings, love icons. Tonight we have an awesome topic. We are talking about when to release someone, right? When to let go. How to know when it's time to release a friend, family member, or a loved one, right? There's a difference between letting go, releasing a person, and a cutoff, right? A complete cutoff. And we're going to talk about that difference today, as how to do it and when to know it's time to do it, and how to know the difference. And just, a healthy release, a decision to assert your boundaries versus just a cold cutoff, okay? Now, a releasing someone is a healthy move. It is a move for your own protection, right? Whereas a cutoff, it is also for your protection, but often a cold cutoff is not healthy, okay? A cold cutoff is not healthy, and I'm gonna tell you why, okay? Before we get into this tonight, this is gonna be such a good subject, you guys, such a good subject. Most people struggle with this, okay? This is an opportunity for self-mastery, okay? And the way that you disengage from any type of relationship, there is an opportunity for growth, okay? There's a right and a wrong way to do it, or I should say a healthy and an unhealthy way to do it. There's a way that you can do that without going completely dark. Because that is what happens for most people. You get mad, you get hurt, you get offended, you get betrayed by someone that you love, that you care for, and you thought that loved and cared for you. And you realize you have to cut them off, or you need to release them, and whoosh, you just go dark in general. It's like F everybody, right? Just, I don't, I'm not going to be my compassionate, caring, loving self anymore, or even if you don't make that declaration, there is still a problem there with trusting in the future. Okay, it's so easy to develop a problem with trusting new friends or other family members, other loved ones, new people that come into your life when you've been hurt or betrayed or offended by someone in the past. And we're going to talk about why does that happen. Okay, greetings to Leah Bomar. Thank you for being here. You all, feel free to say hello. Please say hello as you come into the room. If you have questions, I really want your participation tonight. It's very important to me to know that the topic is resonating with you all. I want to know if you all, want further clarity or if you've experienced these things, okay? So before we get into the topic, let me introduce myself. My name is Pangea Northstar. I'm a Reiki healer. I'm a sound therapist. I am a channel. I'm a teacher, an empath, and I love to teach about how to attract love energy, right? And we can only attract love energy when we are clearing our own blockages. We cannot allow our heart center, especially, but we cannot allow our centers, our chakras, to stay blocked if we want to attract love into our life, okay? And we're talking about love of all kinds, friend love, family love, romantic love, compassionate love, humanitarian love, all types of love, right? We want to be magnetic in our lives, right? So we have to be exhibiting self-love, and self-love does not allow the self to stay hurt. Self-love encourages the self to heal, okay? So what we're talking about tonight is, when it's time to make a decision about letting someone go, letting a relationship go, okay? And we're talking about when it's someone that you really care about, someone that you have a deep bond with, okay? But this person is continually crossing your boundaries. They don't respect you. They make you feel bad about yourself. Maybe you notice that whenever you're around them, whenever you hang out with them, you don't feel better, you feel worse after hanging out with them, right? They're doing things that, that you're just not comfortable with. Whatever the case may be, they may be manipulative, they may be controlling, they may have some very strong narcissistic tendencies. Give me some examples in the chat of some things that people have done that make you want to cut them off, or things that someone has done that they did make you cut them off. I would love to see some of those examples in the chat, okay, as we go forward tonight. So when this happens, and this happens more often than not for people who are healers, for people who are empaths, for people who are starseeds, because in the grand scheme of things, there aren't that many of us compared to the total population. There doesn't appear to be that many of us. Oftentimes, people who are healers or starseeds or way showers start to figure out that there's something different about them because they are surrounded by people who are refusing to do their shadow work. Okay? I know for me personally, that's a deal breaker for me. I don't want to be surrounded by people who refuse to do their shadow work. That is something that I can't excuse. That really makes me question and evaluate, reevaluate a relationship. A person who refuses to be self-reflective, to take any accountability, that doesn't work for me. Okay, that doesn't work for me. I'm about growth, and how can I stay in coherence? In how can I stay in vibrational flow with someone who refuses to grow, who doesn't want to heal? It doesn't match. Okay. The scripture that's coming to mind for me is, how can two walk lest they agree? How can two walk lest they agree? Okay. That's saying, how can two people walk together down the same path unless they agree on the direction they're going in? Okay. That's just a scripture that's on my mind today. Another one is, be not deceived. Corrupt friends. This is, bad friends corrupt good character. Bad friends will corrupt good character. Okay, so hanging out with people that don't, are not going in the same direction you're going in, or that, are not living according to the same, beliefs that you're living according to. You have a code, they don't. Or you have a code and their code is different, How can two walk lest they agree? Okay. So anyways, there are going forward, there are decisions that have to be made. Okay. Greetings, Dabney. Greetings, Melise. Greetings. So if you have people that are refusing their healing journey, refusing to do their shadow work, or refusing to be accountable for any of their actions, you need to release them. Okay. But there is a way to do that. Okay. But a decision definitely has to be made. You have to stop going back and forth with the person. Okay. You have to stop going back and forth with that person, or even going back and forth inside of yourself. Okay. You keep running into that struggle with them because their decision has been made. Their decision has been made. They're not the one that needs to make a decision. You do. You do. The decision is yours. Okay. They are no longer the one that needs to face the truth. You are. Okay. And for the times that we are living in now, y'all, you have to know, you have to be able to sense that your energy is needed for your own journey right now. Your energy is needed for your own survival, for your own abundance, for your own manifestation, for your own expansion, for your own growth into the next iteration of yourself. Your energy is for you. Okay. So reserve that. Don't burn up your energy going back and forth with somebody that continues to disrespect you in some way or just keep showing you who they are. And you know that's not in alignment with you. Okay. So now, say you find yourself in this situation and you're like, man, I keep trying to make this friendship, relationship, or whatever work, but I just keep running into things with this person that's just not working for me. Okay. And you are feeling like you need to end the friendship. That's totally fine. Okay. But there is some work that you need to do on your end first. Okay. Some very important work that you cannot skip out on. Okay. And I hope that you are writing this down. Okay. The most important thing for you to do is to be sure that you have communicated your boundaries to this person. Okay. Make sure you have fully stated your boundaries to this person. Okay. You can't get mad at someone for crossing a boundary that you didn't express. Okay. How can you be angry at someone for crossing a boundary that you didn't express? Okay. Now, unless it's something that's just like common sense, we know, that you don't do this to people. But, in general, you have to let your boundaries be known with people, right? So this levels the playing field. Okay. Once you have expressed your boundaries to a person, like, hey, I had to let a friend of mine know, look, don't call me after 9 o'clock. Don't call me after 9 p.m. Okay. We don't have that kind of friendship. I prefer if you don't call me after 9 p.m. Okay. And I had said it before, like, don't call me late. But the person kept calling me late. So I had to give a clear time, like, hey, this is what's late to me. Okay. I had another friend that used to call me really early, super early, just because they knew that I was up. But that doesn't mean I want to talk. I don't want to talk at 5 a.m. We have nothing to talk about, right? But once I made that boundary clear that, hey, I'm up, but I don't want to talk, and that person kept on crossing that boundary for me, that was a clear sign to me that, yeah, you have some strong narcissistic tendencies. I'm gonna have to, I'm like paying attention to that, and that started to add up with a couple other things. I was like, okay, yeah, I see what the problem is. You're a narcissist. You're not gonna learn from me asserting my boundaries, so I'm gonna have to, I gotta deuce you up now. I gotta let you go. Deuces, right? That's how that goes. But when you let your boundaries be known and be made clear, you are opening up your energy field. Okay. Because let's talk about this from an energetic perspective. Okay. Let's talk about the chakras that are involved. I usually try to give you all the chakras that are involved in any issue that we're talking about. Okay. So most of the time, if somebody is crossing a boundary, this is the boundary you set because this is how you establish some type of safety, stability, or security in your life. Okay. This could be physical safety. It could be emotional safety. It could be psychological safety, security, or stability, right? But that is the energy of the root chakra, okay? It's safety, security, and stability. It doesn't matter if this is physical, emotional, or psychological safety, security, or stability. Greetings, Blue Lotus. Greetings, greetings. So That is the energy of the root chakra. Okay. Now keep in mind what we want in life. Part of being fully human is to always keep that energy flowing. Okay. To always keep the energy flowing. Up through your chakras, up, out, and around. Okay. So the first thing that happens is that you feel unsafe in some way. Okay. Something happens to trigger that feeling for you. Okay. Moving on up into the sacral chakra, this is the realm of setting boundaries. This is when we need to, have boundaries in our own mind. We need to know what our boundaries are. It's part of knowing ourselves. Okay. That's part of knowing yourself, is knowing what your boundaries are. Okay. You can't express a boundary that you're not aware of. A boundary you haven't created. That person I had to let know that I don't want to talk at 5 a.m. That was a boundary that I had already set before that person ever came into my life. So I knew immediately, when I got that funny feeling, that annoyance, it wasn't a question. I wasn't, in shock or sitting there trying to figure out why I felt the way I felt. I knew I had that boundary. That's my time for me in the morning. That's my time to meditate, to communicate with source, to do whatever I need to do for me and set the tone of my day. Okay. So having your boundaries in place is part of knowing you. That should be there before you even deal with other people. Okay. Knowing your boundaries, that's sacral chakra energy. Okay. Now, setting your boundaries is part of how you protect your sense of self, right? That's how you protect your sense of identity, your individuality, solar chakra energy. Solar chakra energy, solar plexus chakra energy. Very important. You have to know the difference. You have to have boundaries, lines that delineate, this is me over here and that's you over there. Even though we are all reflections of source, we are all facets of source here playing out this illusion of separation, you still need to know what it is that makes you you. Give me some hearts in the chat if this makes sense. You can't just go along with just anything. You can't go along with every opinion that you hear spouted over the internet. You will really be lost. You must know your voice, your opinions, your thoughts, your processes that work for you versus the thoughts and processes and opinions that work for someone else. That's a must. That's a must. You absolutely must know the difference in you and someone else. That is solar plexus chakra energy. Okay? So when you realize that this person that you care about, that you thought was a friend, that you respect, but apparently they don't respect you, when you realize that they are crossing this boundary, our tendency is to shut down. Our tendency is to close off right away, right? For most people, you have a tendency to close off right away. You freeze. You go into fight, flight, or freeze, okay? You either strike back in some kind of way, you take flight, which can be cutting them off, ghosting, things of that nature, or just emotionally like withdrawing. Freezing is more like the emotional withdrawal. Okay, that's more of a freeze because you're still there, but you're no longer participating. That's a freeze. Okay, so that's dealing with your heart chakra energy. Okay. And you tend to be, depending on how the situation goes, how they respond, your heart is either more open or less open to them. Okay. Your heart is either more open or less open depending on how they respond when you what? Express your boundaries. Greetings, Shanae. Greetings, Isaac. It's very important to express that your boundary has been crossed. The throat chakra is a point of release. It's a point of the opening of the energy field. The Sanskrit word svadhisthana, which is it means the throat chakra, it means purification. Why? What are we purifying when we express ourselves? Our heart. That energy that we've talked about that has come up was triggered in the root chakra, moved up to the to the sacral, moved up to the solar plexus, and the heart chakra. We're purifying it now by expressing. This is where we process things. We have the opportunity to process what's actually happening is when we express. But our first tendency is normally to do something to stop that flow. Like I said, fight, flight, or freeze. But there's huge value in processing what's actually happening through expression. And I want to get into that. Okay, I'm going to tell you a quick story that happened for me about a week and a half ago. So, actually 2 weeks now, about 2 weeks ago. About 2 weeks ago, I had a lot of stuff going on in my family. Everybody is okay now. But I had some really stressful things going on in my family. 2 life-threatening emergencies happened in my family, 2 different members of my family. And I was working with the client. I had, mentioned to her what was going on. And before she left, now mind you, greetings, Leah. Mind you, this person is not, part of the spiritual community or not an energy healer, doesn't know anything about that type of stuff, right? This is one of my clients in my salon. I have 2 businesses for those who don't know, salon and energy healing business. But one of my salon clients, before she left, she reached out her arms to hug me and she said, "This is for you and, your family members." And she hugged me, y'all. When I tell y'all she hugged me so good, oh my gosh. She gave me some love energy. She gave me some healing energy in that moment, and I needed that. I didn't even realize how much it was bothering me. I had mentioned it to her casually just because I was in go mode that day. I knew that it was bothering me, but I didn't realize it was so heavy with me at that moment. When she grabbed me and hugged me and did not let go, oh my gosh, y'all. The tears just started welling up in my eyes. And I was like, oh my God. It just kind of felt like a relief, But I felt myself about to cry, and I just kind of pulled together. I stopped myself, and I was just like, "Oh, thank you, I appreciate it," And I kind of let her go. I kind of backed away from her. And I really thanked her, but I was like, "Girl, you're not gonna make me cry today. I'm not here for all of that. I got things to do. I have things to do." So she left, and I ran my little errand. I went to the grocery store, which was the thing that I had to do right then. And y'all, I'm on aisle 3. I'm looking for my grocery items that I need, and all of a sudden, because this was like 10 minutes later, 10 minutes later from the hug, all of a sudden, here come the emotions, right? What happened was I was looking for something that was on my list, and they didn't have it. And I was way too bothered by it, like way too bothered by that, right? I'm like, I'm gonna burn the store down. They don't have my frozen vegetables or whatever. I was just like way too bothered by what had happened. And I immediately caught, I was like, oh my God, here come the emotions. Here they come, you know? And then I was telling my friends that in that moment in the aisle, I literally thought to myself, here come the emotions. Cha, 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 cha. Like they were just like dancing out of me. There was nothing I could do. They were coming, right? So So that's my thing that I say now when I feel myself getting emotional, and I have this tendency to have like delayed reactions sometimes to things because I'm always on the go. But that's my thing I say now when I feel my emotions come. It's like, here come the emotions. Cha 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 cha. And that's a joke between me and my friends now. It's the cha cha. It's the emotions. They're coming. They are coming, right? But what I realized that day is how good it is to feel your emotions and to let them flow. And that's a huge part of the experience that we came here for, right? If that makes sense, give me some hearts in the chat, right? It makes total sense. Yes, Leah is sending the little dancing emojis. Yes, it's part of being fully human. We came here to experience all these different emotions, right? All these different types of connections with people and with ourselves, right? So when we're stopping our emotions from flowing, which we do so often, we stop ourselves from crying, we stop ourselves from laughing, we stop ourselves from falling in love, we stop ourselves from falling out of love, we stop ourselves from being fully human all the time. Okay? We got to get out of that. We got to get out of that. We've got to learn how to recognize and actually express our emotions. Okay? So let's go back to this throat chakra. Okay? It is a purifier. It is a purifier. Okay? When we stop our emotions from being expressed, we stop an opportunity for expansion. Okay, we are creating an energy blockage. I want to do a quick example with you. Okay, I want you right now, think of a time in your life when someone said something to you that was hurtful, that was offensive, unnecessary, that was annoying, or whatever. Right? Something that was offensive, that was unpleasant, that was unnecessary, something that was hurtful, something that really got to you, and you didn't say anything. Think about a time when someone hurt you. They did or said something to hurt you, and you did not express yourself about it. You didn't say anything. Think about that. What did they say? How did you feel when they said it or did whatever it was? How did you feel when you made the choice not to say anything? If you're thinking about this happening right now, this incident, more than likely you are feeling tightness right here in your throat. You are feeling a lump in your throat, like a need to swallow. You may be experiencing yawning or sneezing. You may experience a stoppage in your ears, like a clogged feeling in your ears. Yes, you feel pressure, you feel tightness in your throat. Let me know. Leah's saying yes. If you feel that in your throat, Throat and also nausea, like it's right there and wants to come up. Yes. Because you can also a lot of times get a knot in your stomach. Okay. You can have a lump in your throat or a knot in your stomach. Okay. That is the trapped energy of that thing that you didn't express, that you didn't say. Okay. That's the trapped energy of that boundary that you didn't make clear. Even if you cut that person off, if you cut them off without saying anything, you have not expressed yourself clearly. Okay? That is throat chakra energy. Throat chakra is the expression. Okay? That knot in your stomach, that is your individuality being disrespected. Okay? That is solar plexus chakra energy. Okay? That's your sense of self being violated. Okay? That's the knot in the stomach. Okay? And remember, y'all, we're never really truly working on just one chakra at a time. Healthy energy is flowing energy. Okay? A healthy energy body is a flowing energy body. So we're talking about how to keep that flow going. Okay? So that day that I was feeling all my emotions, I had to just go ahead and let them out. I had to go back and let myself cry, whereas I had stopped myself from crying before. I had to talk to someone and express how I was feeling. Luckily, I have a great group of friends that I can talk to about this stuff, and they get it, right? So we were able to laugh about the emotional cha-cha, okay? But speaking your truth is part of processing what actually happened. So that's why that incident that you're thinking of, that you never said anything to the person about how they hurt you, how they betrayed you, how they offended you. You've probably talked to everybody but them about it. You've probably told the story several times. Be honest, right? You've probably told that story several times, okay? Because that creates a fixation. It creates a mental loop. Your mind, your emotions keep going back to it and back to it and back to it again because that energy is stuck. You're not allowing it, you haven't allowed it to rise to the level of the third eye chakra. Okay, we're talking about flowing energy, energy that continues to flow upward, continues to move. Okay, so when you did not speak, what happened? You did not tell it to the person that it was significant, that it was pertaining to. That is a stoppage of the flow of energy. You've probably thought about it 1,000 times. You've probably told it to someone 1,000 times. Question: do you think it's necessary to express the emotion to the person who did you wrong? Yes. I'm sorry, I didn't see that question, but yes, I'm answering that question now. Okay, it is important to speak it to them. It is. And this is why. Because it creates that fixation, that mental loop. It does. Okay. And listen, when here's the deal. You can, once you express yourself, they have one of two options. Either they can respect your boundary or they can disrespect your boundary. Okay. Now, if they disrespect your boundaries, then okay, I have to end this, or I have to put them in contact as possible with this person. Maybe if it's a family member, sometimes, we end up having contact with that person, but it's a very little contact. It's very limited. You rearrange your energy budget to where they get a lot less of your energy, right? And you can do that with a clear conscience. It's clear to them and it's clear to you because you have clearly expressed it. It's clear to you why this is occurring. This person does not know how to respect my boundaries. And that is a deal breaker for me. I now have to place them over there. Okay. It's easy to process. I'm not going to say easy, but it's easier to process that. It's easier to sort that out and create a logical chain of events within your own mind. It allows that energy to rise to the level of the third chakra, which is where the third eye chakra, which is where we do our mental processing. Part of that mental processing is imagining that not everybody is going to be this way. The next person that comes along is not going to be this way. Imagining that, hey, this is just this person's problem. When we haven't expressed that to them, the energy is stuck, and it's easy to imagine when the next person comes along and you see, oh my God. You see one little sign and you're thinking, oh, they're going to act just like that last person did. And they're really going to betray me. They're going to drag me. They're going to, do whatever they can to take advantage. You see what I'm saying? We're allowing ourselves to mentally process the fact that, hey, I spoke my boundaries. They disrespected them. I pulled away. The end. I trust myself to be able to defend myself, protect myself, to withdraw myself again in the future, should I run into another random fool like this person. Rather than imagining that the world is full, of these big bad shadow people, right? That are going to continue to hurt us. Okay, I believe it is important, even if you don't expect them to receive it well or to respect your boundary. It's important for us to say it to them because we're also giving them an opportunity for growth. Think about that. They're being given an opportunity, even if they turn it away, that's okay. In many, many cases, especially as a healer, starseed, way shower, we are here to present opportunities for people to do the right thing. Presenting the opportunity is the only part that's our job. We're not responsible for whether or not they take that opportunity. But you're presenting them with an opportunity for growth. And you may be the only person in that person's life that's willing to give them that opportunity. They may have, if they are a person who habitually crosses people's boundaries, they probably have built their lives so that they're surrounded by people that will never check them. Give me some hearts in the chat if that makes sense. Okay? You think about the biggest narcissists you know. Have they not surrounded themselves with people who will never tell them that they're wrong? If you're very familiar with the dynamics of narcissism, these are the people that are called flying monkeys. That's what they call the people that narcissists surround themselves with. They just agree with everything they say and do and will never tell them that they're out of order. They call them flying monkeys. Okay? So you may be the only person that presents that opportunity to that person to grow by presenting your boundaries, saying, look, when you do this, I feel that if you continue to do this, you will not have an opportunity to be a part of my life. And you got to be okay with whatever they choose. Okay? I hope that's helpful. Okay? So now let's look at the other option. What if they do decide to respect your boundaries and stay in your life? What if they agree to it? What if they just say, okay, I respect your boundary? Okay. Now, whether they successfully do that or not, let's just look at the scenario in which they say, okay, they do receive it well. Say, okay, all right, you got it. I won't do XYZ again. Okay. Now, what is the scenario that you have on hand? This is another opportunity for self-mastery for you, because now you have this person in your midst who has shown you that they have a tendency that you don't care for. Okay? But because you care about them, you still have them in your life, right? So you have this person in your life, but you keep your dog on a leash. You keep your weapon holstered, okay? Your dog, keeping your dog on a leash, keeping your weapon holstered. This is your ability to speak your truth, to correct them when they're wrong, to end that relationship at any time if your boundaries are crossed again. You're keeping that holstered. This is a special skill. This is a specialized skill. This is the work that many of us avoid by just cutting people off. Okay? Because as we said earlier, expressing your boundaries or just walking away without expressing your boundaries, that's the difference between releasing someone with love, with compassion, and just a cold cutoff. That is the difference. Okay? So if you allow that person to stay because they have agreed with you that they're going to respect your boundaries, you now have this opportunity to learn how to enjoy a person while still keeping one eye on them. Not getting so relaxed and so vulnerable that you allow them to cross your boundaries again. This is important. That is an advanced relational skill. That skill is necessary in order to be able to form long-lasting connections, long-lasting relationships. Think about it. A lot of people don't know how to have long-lasting relationships. Why? Because no matter what kind of relationship you have, at some point that person's going to say or do something that you don't like. If you don't know how to express that, all you know how to do is run away, you're gonna end the relationship. If you don't know how to express the boundary and hold on to your boundary, most people will try you. Most people will try you. And you're going to keep getting ran over. Knowing how to assert and stand by your boundaries, that's very important. A lot of marriages don't last now or are very unhappy because the boundaries are not being set, boundaries are not being expressed, boundaries are not being upheld. So the person says, hey, don't do this again. This makes me feel disrespected. This makes me feel betrayed. This makes me feel taken advantage of. If you do this, I'm going to have to do this. Like you're pushing me there. But the person crosses the boundary anyway. And the person who has set the boundary caves. They don't say anything. They've gotten too relaxed. When you do that, you're allowing yourself to be manipulated. And you're not going to be happy with them or feel good about yourself. Okay? So the key here is communication. It is expression. Okay? That's first and foremost. Allowing that energy to continue to flow so that you can process it. Okay? If it's not being processed, if it's not coming out through the expression of the throat chakra, it's just in this mental loop. You think about it again. Oh my God, I feel choked up again. It makes me so upset. My heart's hurting again. I can't stop thinking about it. I still feel choked up. My heart's hurting again. It's just a loop. And that constant loop is blocking your ability to receive divine guidance about it. Crown chakra energy. Because once you mentally process, once you allow that energy to rise, you've expressed it out of the throat chakra, you mentally process it, that clears the path for it to rise to the level of the third eye chakra. You mentally process that thing. You intuit and imagine how you do want the relationship or your next relationship to be. You intuit, you imagine how you do want to feel within yourself. Then you are clear to receive divine guidance about that thing. You're not all blocked up and unable to receive divine guidance. That's the next chakra, your crown chakra. Okay? So, when at all possible, express it to the person. Okay? Don't just cut people off. Okay? Because that prevents you from developing these advanced skills. Do we have any more questions about this topic? Thank you so much, Leah, for asking the question earlier. It's very, very important to express to that person when possible. And I know, lots of people advise that you write a letter, write it down, burn it. And you can do that. I'm not saying that's ineffective. I'm not saying that. What I am saying, and that's especially effective when it's something that's been like something that happened a long time ago. That person's nowhere in your life. I mean, you're not going to go dig up somebody, that's not around just to tell them, well, you remember 20 years ago when you said XYZ, that really hurt my feelings. That's not necessary. You don't need to bring them back into your energy field for that. But if there's a current situation and you are still trying to make a decision on whether or not this is someone you need to release, the first thing you need to do is express that boundary. Okay? Stop blocking yourself from feeling what you feel. A lot of the times we're not expressing the feeling because we're so busy trying to push down the feeling. Okay, and it doesn't matter whether this is a sense of betrayal, if this is grief, if this is whatever, offense. When you are pushing down your emotions, you are not processing them. Okay? All right. So I don't see any more questions coming up, but I thank you all for the hearts, for the encouragement, for the input in the chat. Greetings, Miss Fortitude. Thank you so much for chiming in. We are at 40 minutes. Miss Fortitude said, it's like you don't want it to be true. Exactly. Great point, Miss Fortitude. It's like you don't want it to be true. And when you say it out loud, the thing about saying it out loud is that you also hear it, right? Thank you, Dabney. Dabney says very informative. When you say something out loud, you also hear what you say. That's a reinforcement, right? That is a reinforcement of the truth. It's like when you admit it out loud, you have to accept it for yourself that, man, this is messed up. This is painful. I can't believe this person said this, did this, treated me this way, right? But it did. It happened. Acceptance is so important. Accepting it doesn't mean that we approve, that we'll let it happen again, that we condone that behavior. We just need to accept that it is true. We need to come to terms with these are the facts. That way we can't let ourselves fall back into denial about it. We're not leaving the opportunity open for it to happen again. And you know what? One thing I found is that in a case with someone that's trying to bully you, I'll just put it like that. A lot of times people that are crossing your boundaries and they know that you're locked into some type of situation with them where you can't just easily cut them out of your life, Like say this is a parent, this is a person you are co-parenting with, you have a child with, you know, they're going to be a part of your life. And this could be even your own child trying to flex on you, right? With bullies, I notice that when you stand up to them, they tend to leave you alone. When you make it clear that, hey, if you push me, I'm going to push back, they tend to correct themselves. Okay? This is also good prevention of things building up. Because when you don't express yourself, you let it build up and you end up snapping out on the person. Or someone else that doesn't have anything else, anything to do with the situation is catching stray bullets from you because something over here you didn't address with this person is making you snap at that person who generally treats you kindly and does not deserve that. There's lots of value in fully processing the conflicts in your life. Okay? So, you guys, I hope this has been helpful. I'm signing out. This is Pangea Northstar, sending you peace, love, and light. Thank you so much for all the support and love in the chat. And I will see you here again next time on Attracting Love Energy. Peace. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Good night, everybody.